Can LeAndria Johnson really fight back against Marvin Winans? I'm going to find out. LeAndria Johnson and Marvin Winans are two heavyweights in the gospel music scene. Both have made significant contributions, with LeAndria Johnson known for her powerful voice and unapologetic honesty, while Marvin Winans brings decades of experience and a legacy of spiritual leadership. Their stature in the gospel community makes any hint of conflict between them a topic of great interest, especially for fans who closely follow the evolution of gospel music and the voices shaping it. The rumored conflict seems to have started with a comment made by Marvin Winans. He allegedly made a statement that could be interpreted as taking a jab at LeAndria Johnson. The specifics of his comment are a bit unclear, but it's said to have revolved around the state of contemporary gospel music. Marvin Winans, being a respected and seasoned figure, has often spoken about the direction and quality of music in the genre, sometimes expressing concern about where things are heading. Details are still somewhat sketchy, but it appears Marvin Winans expressed concerns about the commercialization of gospel music. Some interpreted this as a veiled critique of artists who prioritize fame, branding, or mainstream success over spiritual depth and authenticity. In a genre that has always been rooted in faith and message, such comments can carry a lot of weight. LeAndria Johnson, known for pushing boundaries and speaking her mind openly, didn't let the perceived slight go unchallenged. The situation got more complicated when it became clear that Marvin Winans' comments were not necessarily directed at one person but were part of a broader critique of the gospel music industry. Even so, for LeAndria Johnson and her supporters, the timing and tone made it feel personal. In an industry where artists often face scrutiny for their style, presentation, and choices, it didn't take much for the conversation to turn into something bigger. LeAndria Johnson's response was swift and very much in line with her outspoken personality. She took to social media and possibly used her platform during performances to address the issue head-on. Her response included strong and passionate words about artistic freedom and the natural evolution of gospel music. She made it clear that gospel music is not limited to a single style, format, or audience. She emphasized that gospel music is not just confined to the walls of a church but is meant for everyone. According to her perspective, the message of faith, hope, and redemption can be delivered in many different ways, and artists should not feel restricted by traditional expectations. This idea resonated strongly with a younger generation of gospel artists and listeners who see the genre as something dynamic and ever-changing. Her defense of her music and that of others in the genre was both emotional and thought-provoking. LeAndria Johnson questioned the criteria for what qualifies as true gospel music. She suggested that the genre should be inclusive rather than exclusive, allowing room for different sounds, styles, and personal expressions of faith. For many, this was a powerful statement that challenged long-standing norms within the community. At the same time, LeAndria Johnson made it clear that her response was not rooted in disrespect. She acknowledged Marvin Winans' legacy and the impact he has had on gospel music over the years. She mentioned that despite their differences, there is still a deep level of respect for his contributions and his role as a spiritual leader. This added a layer of maturity to the situation, showing that disagreement does not have to lead to division. She also implied that conversations like these are necessary for growth. Rather than avoiding conflict, she suggested that open dialogue and honest discussions are key to moving the gospel music community forward. By addressing the issue publicly, she brought attention to a conversation that many people were already having privately. One of the most memorable parts of her response came when she expressed her personal philosophy about music and faith. She stated that if she is going to sing about love, forgiveness, and redemption, she has to do it in a way that feels real and authentic to her. This wasn't just a response to criticism, it was a declaration of identity and purpose. That statement captured what many saw as her fight back. It wasn't about attacking Marvin Winans directly but about standing firm in her beliefs and her artistic vision. She pushed back against the idea that gospel music must fit into a narrow definition and instead advocated for a broader, more inclusive understanding of the genre. This moment shifted the narrative. What started as a potential conflict between two prominent figures turned into a deeper discussion about the future of gospel music. It raised questions about tradition versus innovation, structure versus freedom, and how faith is expressed through art. The alleged conflict between LeAndria Johnson and Marvin Winans highlights ongoing debates within the gospel music community. These debates are not new, but they continue to evolve as new artists bring fresh perspectives into the space. At its core, the discussion is about balancing respect for tradition with the need for growth and change. For some, Marvin Winans' perspective represents a desire to preserve the original essence of gospel music. For others, LeAndria Johnson's stance reflects the reality of a changing world where music must adapt to remain relevant and impactful. Both viewpoints carry value, and the tension between them is what keeps the conversation alive. the reaction from fans and the broader community has been mixed. Some people agree with Marvin Winans and believe that gospel music should remain rooted in its traditional form. Others support LeAndria Johnson and appreciate her willingness to challenge norms and speak openly about issues that many might avoid. Social media has played a major role in amplifying this discussion. Platforms have given fans, critics, and fellow artists a space to share their opinions, creating a wide range of perspectives. While some conversations have been constructive, others have been more heated, showing just how passionate people are about this topic. Despite the differences in opinion, one thing is clear: both LeAndria Johnson and Marvin Winans care deeply about gospel music. Their approaches may differ, but their commitment to the message behind the music remains strong. This shared foundation is what makes the situation more complex than a simple disagreement. In many ways, this moment can be seen as a reflection of a larger cultural shift. As music evolves across all genres, artists are constantly redefining what their work represents. Gospel music is no exception. It continues to grow, influenced by different sounds, experiences, and perspectives. LeAndria Johnson's response can also be seen as part of a broader movement toward authenticity in music. Artists today are often encouraged to be true to themselves, even if that means challenging expectations. Her willingness to speak out aligns with this trend and highlights the importance of staying genuine in one's craft. At the same time, Marvin Winans' perspective serves as a reminder of the roots of gospel music. His concerns about commercialization reflect a desire to protect the spiritual integrity of the genre. This is a concern that many people share, especially those who have been part of the gospel community for a long time. The balance between these two perspectives is not easy to achieve. It requires ongoing conversation, mutual respect, and a willingness to listen. Situations like this, while sometimes uncomfortable, create opportunities for growth and understanding. As the discussion continues, it will be interesting to see how both artists choose to move forward. Whether they address the situation further or allow it to settle over time, the impact of this moment will likely remain. It has already sparked conversations that go beyond the individuals involved. For fans, this is also a moment to reflect on what gospel music means to them personally. Is it about tradition, innovation, or a combination of both? There is no single answer, and that's what makes the genre so rich and diverse. In the end, the question isn't just whether LeAndria Johnson can fight back against Marvin Winans. It's about what that fight represents. In this case, it represents a voice standing up for creative freedom, a challenge to established norms, and an invitation to think differently about faith and music. The conversation is far from over. As more people share their views and engage with the topic, new insights will continue to emerge. What started as a rumored conflict has become a meaningful discussion about identity, purpose, and the future of gospel music. If you've been following this story or have thoughts on the evolution of gospel music, your perspective matters. Conversations like this thrive on diverse viewpoints and respectful dialogue. And as always, staying engaged and informed is the best way to understand the full picture.